Yeah, I was kind of like thinking about something about you know, uh, the election year thing about I've heard it on and off throughout the years during conventions about the Iowa caucus. In any case, yeah, so it's kind of like I was having a little bit of humor about you know, uh, but I have these da 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 da, but I have Saturn sky onion rings in orbit for sure. Da 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 da. Come on, I really can't believe it's butter anyway. Da 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 da. And my toilet doesn't require really habeas corpus. It's kind of like something I was kind of like thinking about the Iowa caucus, and in the way of like something that seemed to be really like a black hole in space exploration, and something about the even the thought of finer arts and humanities, going beyond the abstract and satire and the more informative presentation and the color coordinated fashion statement, of a maybe more presentable, welcoming pastel, of the fine arts and humanities thing about the abstract, the satire, and the pastel. Yeah, so I mean, all that logic circuitry about anatomy and well, anyway, so like I was thinking about that as far as like the Iowa caucus, and something about a writ of habeas corpus. My humor a little bit about the writ of habeas corpus. My toilet doesn't require a writ of habeas corpus, and once again, it's like the color code of the toilet being the white, and then the high L silver thing of like, once again, the thing about the oldest governmental computer mainframe called the Whopper that way. So in any case, yeah. So my thought about that is it's almost like space, the final frontier, to boldly go where no man has gone before, right? And the Abraham Lincoln night vision thing about ultimately getting to the hood around like Lincoln Continental and the rectangle and like the wide world sports thing, or what a 90 degree is that way. Ultimately, even getting to the issue of like Bureau of Printing and Engraving, or what that is to like a rectangular um, things about them, identifying like huge commercial buildings and like high-rise buildings and all that stuff, but or commercial venue of living quarters, and it seemed to be like really, the deal whether if it's going to be like really the Iowa caucus being an issue of like a writ of habeas corpus, or whether or not if a commercial venue of living quarters is ultimately getting to whether or not if the television itself as a fixed in real estate is really a programming issue, or what a living quarter is, in a commercial venue of living quarters, or some residuals, like at least making a grade on a toilet in that way. So in any case, yeah. So there seemed to be like a factor that way that the Iowa caucus, the NewBagsIowa, the new bag, issuing equator issue, about the night vision or the new bags, and what that is, and black hole and space exploration, on the toilet, or the issuing equator factor of like a Abraham night vision that way, predominantly, would require normally what is normally like like a black trash bag in the toilet, right? And all that greatness about issuing equator. I mean, if it's ultimately getting to really, I mean, really the deal about the thing about the 6 presidential terms in office, from like Theodore Roosevelt to like Franklin Roosevelt and the New Deal Act. I mean, it seemed to be like really the thing about whether or not if the only deal between why a U.S. patent is not a copyright, or the issue of like, well, the patent pending issue reflecting maybe a method of banking, or what claim on intellectual would only represent maybe like a daily standard transaction, or in the form of like once again going through the issue of like a patent pending, or what's the deal about a claim in that way of intellectual, or in the form of the FDIC, or am I really having an issue with like an SD card, really some OSHA issue, or some ocean, or the delta, the triangle thing about the biggest mouth of the Mississippi River and misappropriation and allocation of the Mississippi River, maybe having the thing about OSHA, occupational safety, and health administration, or the OSHA thing, or the ocean, the biggest mouth, the river being like the operator, or some equator factor, between like Chevrolet and a bicentennial deal about the even an operator, or some like alphanumerics of 0 being 64 and ACTP : // and thing about quite a bit about the American and Israel, and ultimately getting to the pastel thing about the 73 and Harris and Egypt and Israeli thing about the the flag and the bird and the blue and purple bird of like the bird of like Israel, being a whoopa and like all that whopper stuff and all that high El silver, stuff about what it is with like exclusionary rule provision, executive powers, sovereign immunity, and governmental amnesties. But anyway, it's kind of like, OSHA. I mean, if it's really getting to an occupational safety, health administration, or like there's a song, Ocean's Deep, and it's like a Hillsong thing in a way of like Australia. The song, in Ocean's Deep, my feet may fail. Really, I mean, if it's getting to like OSHA or the ocean, or that end with the waveform, like a, I mean, it's really getting to like whether or not if really the telekinetic pen to the roll or paper mate or chase ink or something about the idea of like OSHA and being ocean, or the thought of like hey, am I having like an absentee voting thing about the the ocean, or the thing of the safety deposition and all that stuff about how absentee voting is like seemingly to be whether or not if the fact I'm going to have to think about it again, come back later if I'm going to do it during this. It's like remembering all this stuff sometimes it's like a spontaneous like hey, yeah, there it is thing. But anyway, I'm going to have to think about that involving this particular part right here. Whether or not if it's going to be like an OSHA or ocean thing, or that waveform over the end, and what pronunciation is to that being representative of the the issue of whether or not if 6 presidential terms in office is only representing the alphanumerics of the numerical value 6 and spelled out in alphanumerical way, being like the thing about the 48, or wait a minute, let me think about that. Was 28? It's 52, okay? Or, the thing about the VPN or the heart. Okay, so what's that? 28, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. The thing about the international thing about the telepathic heart, or the deal, and I'm going to have to come back on the absentee involving, the ocean thing, and think about it again. But anyway, there's like so much to think about right now. But anyway, so it only got to like the Iowa caucus, and really what's going on about the Abraham Lincoln in a way of like night vision, and really if it's going to get to it like am I having a triangle issue, or misappropriation of the Mississippi, or the thought of the ocean and the safety deposition, or an SD, the safety deposition thing about the SD card, or is like am I having a card swiping issue, like is my toilet paper like magnetized thing, But anyway, so like I had some thoughts on an absentee, and I'm actually going to have to think about it again and probably come back, so I'm going to probably keep that short just over that one thing right there. But so I mean, ultimately it got to whether or not if the Iowa caucus is really referring to something about, in my mind, like Sarbanes and Oxley of like financial instruments of stock compliance. Or, what the real deal is. I mean, really, if it's getting to an Iowa caucus and some humor about really where, it seems to be like really, what's the, seems to be the significance of like really. I mean, really, like this next presidential, this is the year 2023, and, the next presidential term in office will be the 6th presidential term in office, like again. Really much, very much. That fact, as a matter of fact, it seemed to be like, the Roosevelt New Deal Act, or what, New Deal is to 64, being ACTP:/, or in New Deal Act being 88, and, all that stuff about the New Deal Act and like California, and what that is to, the FDIC as compared to, the thought of, now it seems to be like, the deal about whether or not if, space is the final frontier, and Abraham Lincoln night vision, ultimately getting to even space exploration that way, like a black-hole space exploration beyond the toilet, or what NewBagsIowa only seems to be, why my toilet does not require a writ of Habeas Corpus. I mean, is it ultimately getting to, the exclusionary rule provision of like the high O silver thing about the, Earp, or, Wyatt Earp, or, the pro Lord's Supper, the pro supper, being a superstar, being on the Camp David, and the deal about a bowl of Campbell's alphabet soup. Camp David. It's like, well, you know, I mean, wait a minute, it's like the code blue thing. I mean, it's like Campbell's, you know. Yeah, yeah. So that's like telephone, you know, is the thing about it. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So like all that Southwest Court report, you know, United States Supreme Court Southwest Court reporter, reflecting, you know, something very much identified as Southwest in the Houston area. What was then, you know, Southwestern Bell, now being AT&T, you know, it's been quite, probably maybe 12, 13 years, maybe longer. I hadn't really counted, but that AT&T had actually, you know, taken over, you know, Southwestern Bell, and that way, and still involving the white and blue thing about what was predominantly like all blue with Southwestern Bell. Yeah, so like AT&T, you know, being at like alphanumeric value of like USA and 41 and all the stuff about AT&T, and still have the colors of the, you know, I don't know if I'd call baby blue a pastel or not. I'm really not sure, but you know, it seems to be like really the thing about the Univision using like a different, you know, sets of four, only two different sets of four, involving three pastels and one black in the beginning. And you know, ultimately, you know, towards the end, when I noticed that they like were no longer like there, was like around the year 1999. Not that it was anything before, or you know, only the availability of convenience of like, you know, driving by and just knowing that, okay. But anyway, like the last set of like pastels are like three pastels and a white, and all that stuff about like the drum shop, you know, or what the deal is like with the Remo black dot drum head that's compared to like now. And really, as far as I've known, is pretty much pretty close to an issue whether or not if something between like ABC 13 and ABC 7 Los Angeles is only a difference of 6, or maybe the perception of maybe something about the, you know, even the Ford Explorer, the last year of its production, or what embedding encryption means that way of the Ford Explorer Sport Track. I mean, for real, or what that is to, I mean, really, I mean, have you driven a Ford lately? I mean, is that the only thing about it? The Ford Explorer Sport Track. I mean, if it's ultimately getting to like the year 2010, and what that is to like Barbara Walters and Hugh Downs, suggesting, you know, 2020, and you know, the last year of the Ford Explorer, you know, the Explorer being like a search engine in the way of like a, you know, maybe what might represent even like, you know, Windows as an operating system, and normally, you know, what was available then for Windows being like Explorer, in coordination with like a Microsoft and Microsoft Windows. Predominantly the thing about it, but it's, you know, it seemed like the Ford Explorer, as compared to what's available like right now, the Microsoft Edge. There's, you know, the others involving like Firefox and Chrome. That way, what if Explorer, you know, normally was predominantly, I mean, like it, and now Chrome and like Microsoft Edge is pretty much the thing that seems to be like, you know, Windows 11 right now in 2023. But like Barbara Walters and Hugh Downs, you know, it's almost like the Howard Hughes Downs and the oil thing about the OPEC and certain factors of like, you know, oil and Chase and the 36 thing. But anyway, yeah, so like anyway, I think about the Chase Inc. is almost like a writ of habeas corpus. It's got to be kidding me. An Iowa caucus, huh? About Ohio Silver, the silver thing about the, you know, the haloed venue of the Ohio Silver, and you know, that governmental thing about the oldest governmental computer mainframe called the Whopper. I mean, it seems to be like so much, even like the HOA, Homeowners Association, what a neighborhood seems to be, or not, because of a, you know, even a commercial venue, living quarters being like representative of like now the only thing I see about really a fixture in real estate is really a commercial venue of like a grocery store, of living quarters. I mean, so what's the neighborhood not really claiming other than a fixture in real estate being something like television? I mean, like, really, is there like an issue of like living quarters in that way? Or maybe through neglect based upon lack of experience, or, you know, like, really what's going on with like itemization and circuit and venue as a stationary engineer, like a television would only be as a method of you know, a fixture in real estate, where there are living quarters dependent upon a writ of habeas corpus in the form of like programming on television, on K television, K radio, or maybe not at all. Or would that be the exclusionary rule provision defining the meaning of like what a Sarbanes and Oxley financial instrument And SOX compliance would only maybe suggest, maybe or maybe not at all, based upon degree level or what only opportunity means of non-negotiable, non-transferable itemization, really like a daily standard transaction in the bank, even with a direct deposit in the history of a mailbox, or what prepaid postage is or is not. You know, I mean, for real. I mean, or some level. EBT. I mean, it's whether it's the on par fact of EBT representing the E equal MC squared. Like I just mentioned, a little bit previously. Seemingly, really starting to be really whether or not if it's not so prehistoric that it rules out JavaScript. But I mean, at the same time, hey, is it Fred Flintstone you're looking for, like the pi r squared? And life's the same, even in stereo, life's the same except for Fred Flintstone's shoes. It's ultimately getting to some isometric value of, beyond, finding diameter of a circle being, the circumference of a flat surface, getting into the isometrics of volume being like three-dimensional, like actual participation beyond the method of banking is ultimately, really what it seems to be really, really, I'm still like, where's the identity in the transaction at the bank? I mean, if it's not like an endorsement, or is it like really always like still that and an issue of like Route 66 or, switching routing and networking, making a grade, thinking that maybe making a grade would maybe be a mandatory requirement, making it beyond the front lines of the beachfront, even including maritime law that way of a local area network, making a grade beyond, internet protocol. Or, get all amphibious about, that in that way. Even like commercial venue, like a living quarter being like the grocery store, and that EBT of like supplemental security income representing maybe a direct source as compared to the card actually being made available as an EBT, not a supplemental security in a way of like SNAP food benefits or like the Lone Star card. So would it be denying what on par only means to province or maybe jurisprudence? Is it like a breach of like food stamps or geographic attachment of like maybe is it identifying the U.S. dollar that presents whether or not where's the name going and identity going in the transaction to the bank, or is it geographically attaching the U.S. dollar or every currency having fair use of what seemed to be in my mind somehow of controlling regulating factors of like circumvention of like international banking systems. If that's all English, if English is the only factor of England, not really even identifying maybe a kingsmanship representing Henry VIII or, a misappropriation and allocation of the Mississippi, all the protected waters around a castle of kingsmanship and what venue is and, the parliament. Or, I know it all sounds like English, but really for real, So, if it's ultimately getting to whether if a Sarbanes-Oxley financial instrument of SOX compliance is only reflecting maybe some idea that the toilet doesn't require a writ of habeas corpus, only because of the knowledge. It's extremely a huge amount of available information. It sounds like it sounds like it's available, like everyone knows during an entire lifetime. It's like available. It's like you probably heard it on television, and might have even not even realized you've maybe even talked about it. It's amazingly true, isn't it? Like legal media and deposition. Auditing legal media and deposition, huh? So what is it about the Iowa Caucus, or the NewBagsIowa, like Abraham Lincoln, night vision as compared to a black hole space exploration, or some color code of like, sacred words call upon you, wise one. Go to the rising canyon where many moons fly, and you'll find a sign. Then go to the running waters, and you'll find peace. But, who's that guy? Quizzing, perplexing trivial pursuit, Beyond the toilet? go to the running waters. But issuing equator like NewBagsIowa. And my toilet doesn't require a writ of habeas corpus, huh? Whew, alright, yeah. Amazingly, huh? Sarbanes-Oxley financial instruments of SOX compliance. What is SOX compliance? Really? Of color code, huh? Amazing, yeah. It seemed to be like really seriously a whole new perception of available information, huh? Or, what it seems to be in a way of even aggregates or some other factors. But anyway, it's like going on pretty close to like 20 minutes. So I'm gonna take a break and think about that absentee again, and maybe include that on a, another real quick thing I'm having here. Okay, talk to you later.